Elentila lumeno mentielvo. Welcome to Tolkien on Tap. I'm TJ. Grab a drink and enjoy. I'll man. Welcome to Tolkien on Tap. I have some really fun guests today. Today we are talking to Gia. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Gia. Um, am I gonna
How'd
talk
you how'd you
about?
get into how'd you get into Tolkien? What brought you?
Well, I was a nerd as a kid. My mom gave me Lord of the Rings, first books I ever received from anyone, and I would lock myself into my room, and read them. I think I read them like every year back, like religiously, like nonstop. I think
How old were you when you got the books?
I was 10 or 11, maybe.
Dang.
I mean, I was reading books
Nice.
before, but it was like the first books I'd owned and like had. Um,
Yeah.
and I got so obsessed with them, I like got really into the appendices and kind of learned how to read, like write and like read what was in the appendices.
Mm-hmm.
And I like translated my second I had my second name, Angela,
Mm-hmm.
into Elvish.
Well,
And,
let's hear it.
and when I turned 18, I got a tramp stamp.
I need to hear the I need to hear the translation now.
I honestly, it's so shameful. I don't even remember what it is.
Wait. You got this tattooed on you and you can't remember how to pronounce
Can't
it or say
remember
it?
what it is. It's like the word. It's like worse than like a Japanese like tattoo.
You
Um,
accidentally just wrote the word teapot on
You
yourself
know, but
in
yeah,
Elvish.
no, I knew it so well that when I was getting it tattooed and they were putting the transfer on me, they were
Hmm.
putting it on backwards, and I was like, it's backwards.
Would you be able to tell now? Were you getting
Fuck no.
like fair, fair enough. What are you drinking tonight, by the way?
I'm drinking wine.
What kind of wine you got? Third age wine, first age wine, second age wine? I always forget the second age exists because there's not that much written about it.
No, I'm drinking a Tempranillo or sorry, a Pinot from Chile.
Nice. Very nice. Next up, we have Elise. Elise, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you, TJ?
I'm doing well. How did you get into Tolkien?
So I got into Tolkien. I was about 11 when the first Lord of the Rings film came out, and my parents knew that I was obsessed with fantasy. But they would not let me go to a PG-13 movie. So my dad thought that the next best thing would be to rent the Ralph Bakshi film. And that was my first introduction to Tolkien.
That is such an awesome introduction. And that's just at the same time the films were coming out.
It was around the
That's
same
so
time that
good.
the films were coming out. He rented the Bakshi and he rented the Rankin Bass Hobbit and the Return of the King. And he was so confused when Bakshi stopped after the Two Towers. He's like, "Where's the rest of it?"
It is very, very strange that it just cuts off. And then Rankin and Bass were like, I'm not even going to pick up in the same spot. I'm going to
No,
go like
we're just
a
gonna
little
skip.
further in and then we'll just do that one.
And we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna write this total banger for the orcs.
Oh,
Right,
totally.
We're
right.
never gonna
Whoa, there's
forget.
a whip. There's a
There's a
whip.
way.
We can't sing too much of it because
Then we'll get in
that's probably
trouble. Yep,
copywritten. I can
probably.
only do a little bit. Otherwise, I can't put this out.
Oh no. But no, it was an interesting introduction and I watched the films for a while. And I think I was probably in college when I finally, quote unquote, got the books. Like I had read it a couple of times, but
Hmm.
it's just very plot oriented and just trying to match like what I had seen in the films to what I was envisioning in the stories. And then I got a degree from Signum University. That was fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. It was
That's
my second
awesome.
master's degree in fantasy literature, and I have a diploma written in Anglo-Saxon. It's the
Oh,
best.
So
Yeah.
you're the second person that I've talked to on this that has gotten a degree from Signum University,
Yeah.
and both of you are making me incredibly jealous. And perhaps I need to reevaluate my life. What am I
You,
doing?
yes,
Making a
yes.
silly podcast instead of just going and being a learned person.
Well, you can make a silly podcast and be a learned person at the same time. The two are not mutually exclusive.
I should strive for more, is what I'm hearing. I got it.
It's
Gotcha.
just, and if anything, Signum University is just fun. Like it's just a
Yeah.
fun way to get a fantasy degree. And
Yeah.
where else are you going to get it? There are not many other places where you can get a fantasy degree. I wrote my final thesis on I literally created a literary theory on analyzing um, series, like fantasy series, like what's the structure of a
Mhm.
fantasy series? Why the heck is every single series out there in Barnes and Noble a trilogy? Like why are all the fantasy books in trilogies or septologies? Like what? And
Yeah.
so I put all that together, and then I had a baby like a week later, and it was great.
Dang.
Yeah, I was busy.
I was gonna say that sounds like a really busy time.
It was very, very busy, but it
And
was fun.
it sounds like it. So one of my dreams is to meet Corey Olson, and I help with a friend on Signum Collaboratory, and
Yep.
I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I was coming home from work, and they're doing it in Eastern time. I'm Central time,
Yeah.
and it was 4 p.m. Eastern time. I leave my where I'm learning for my new position at like 2:30 normally. This day, for some reason, the teacher was like, "You can go at 2." I was like, "Sweet," and I went, "Oh my God, I have to be home." So I had to text my friend and be like, "I will be on, but I'll be late." So I got there, and they're talking about this thing that they're collaborating on, and I hear they're saying that Maggie's recording it, Dr. Maggie Park, okay, because she's not there. It's her. You can see her screen with her name, but it's blank, and she was recording. And then they're talking a little bit more, and they're like, "Yeah, Corey, is a little busy right now. He did stop in and say hi," and I was like, "I missed Corey." I was so I was so sad.
Oh,
I was so sad.
Maggie's one of my friends. I love Maggie. We meet up
Yeah,
anytime she's in the States. We meet up for kids' play dates.
nice, nice.
She's so awesome.
Elise is our designated driver tonight, which sometime in the future I will make that more Tolkienian or Hobbity or whatever. I feel like it needs to be
Designated
Hobbity.
cart driver.
Designated
Yeah.
cart driver. There
Bill
we go.
I'm Bill the Pony.
Bill the
Yes.
Yes.
I am Bill
There
the
we go.
Pony.
You
I am
know
the
what? I need to.
designated.
I'm gonna
You're
pull out
writing
my.
that down.
I'm gonna pull
Write
out my
that
Red
down.
Book of West March notebook, which
Mm-hmm,
for
mm-hmm,
those who end up seeing this on the YouTubes, there it is.
mm-hmm.
Yes, I said it like I'm 80 years old.
Well done.
I do need to start like writing down what I do and like things that I'm told and talk about. This belongs to. I should write Bilbo's name.
I am the
Okay.
Bill the Pony. I did in solidarity bring my souvenir bottle from Hobbiton. I dragged my husband to the Hobbiton movie set in New Zealand when we went on our honeymoon.
Nice.
And we got a bottle of the South Farthing beer. It's a fine grain amber ale. And at the end of the tour, they sell you get a complimentary pint after the tour, but you can also buy bottles of beer. And this has long since been drunk. Like it's been gone for like 5 years now, but I keep it with me in solidarity.
I still have my wine bottle from the first episode. Well, I guess it's technically the first 4 because that was a very long conversation we had.
Yeah, it's a good conversation though.
Yeah, I'm not getting rid of that bottle. It's a beautifully etched bottle.
It's gorgeous.
From Manos Wine. Will not be getting rid of that. So that's so awesome. I can't honestly. I want to talk more about that stuff. And then also joining us we have Jen. Jen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Well,
Nice.
I mean, you guys have already all established that you guys are also good, so feels weird to be like, "Oh, how are you?" for the third time.
Oh, I'm well. I'm just gonna answer it anyways.
Yeah, good.
How'd you get into Tolkien? How'd you become a nerd?
I was a nerd before I got into Tolkien. I have an older brother who is very nerdy. He's mostly like a sci-fi nerd, mostly like Star Trek and Star Wars. Um, but when the Lord of the Rings movies first started coming out, my parents took me. Like we went as a family kind of dealio. And the first one I have like literally no memories of because like I just didn't really know what was under like I didn't understand what was happening. I was just like, oh
Right.
yeah, I'm 10, I'm going to this movie, like and then the next year Two Towers came out and um John Rhys Davies as Treebeard just like awakened something in me and I have like very distinct memories of driving home and like turning to my brother and being like, I want one of those tree things as a pet. And he was like, you don't have an Ent as a pet. They're like people. And I was like, well, fine. Then I want one to be my best friend.
I don't blame you whatsoever.
And that was it. Like Treebeard was my gateway drug and like it
That's
just
such a great way to describe it.
it all was downhill from there.
Like the Dave
So
Chappelle sketch, like, y'all got any more tree beard?
got some of that Treebeard.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's me
nice.
in a nutshell, effectively.
Do
Treebeard
you
is my
have
gateway drug.
do you have the Funko Pop tree beard with Merry and Pippin?
I have a Funko Pop Treebeard with Merry and Pippin and the Funko Pop Treebeard of just Treebeard.
Oh,
So
I only have the one with Merry and Pippin. I feel like I'm slacking.
yeah, get on
That's
it.
twice. That's twice so far in this one. Should we keep track? Hold on, let me get the Red Book of
Yeah,
Western.
tally mark.
All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm honestly gonna start doing this. This is amazing. Jen, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Bayorn's mulled mead.
Love it.
It is exceedingly delicious, but it is uh dangerously strong as well. So I might get a little silly. We'll see. I'm trying to pace myself, but it's one of those things where it does not taste as strong as it really is. But
I
once you start
also,
drinking it, it's like,
He's got
oh
the whole
dear.
coffee pot.
yeah, yeah. So,
I have, as is appropriate for Beorn's mulled mead, I have like a
oh, that's
very
beautiful.
Beorn-like jug that I put mine in.
That's
So
beautiful.
yeah.
So since you called out the coffee pot in here, I was rushing to get things in order before this. I
Sorry.
had to, no, it's fine. We'll just let everybody in. It's okay. It's funny anyways. I had 2 hours, but actually a little bit less than 2 hours from the time I got home until this started. Um, because I sent the emails, which shouldn't have done because there was already an email. Oops. And
Oops.
then I went out to get the stuff. So, by the way, Jen, you didn't say this. Did you say that this is your recipe?
It is not my recipe.
I'm gonna give you credit because you gave me this recipe.
Okay. It was actually originally um so it's from a company called Cask and Quill.
Ooh.
I got the recipe in a little like Lord of the Rings goodie box from I can't remember what the name of the little company is called, but Lauren Does Cosplay runs like a little sort of like bookish. It's like pages and something. I don't remember. I can look it up, but
Yeah,
um it was just like a little Lord of the Rings themed book. It had like some cool Doors of Durin bookends and some other like cool little things. And it had this like mold mead recipe in it. And we tried it for my Rings of Power premiere party in 2022, and everyone was like obsessed with it. And so it's
I
just
just took a
become
sip.
a Tolkien staple.
I am also drinking that. Although there's not actual meat around here, so I had to do a substitute and just add extra
So
honey.
weird.
There also wasn't full nutmegs. Nutmegs? Nutmeg?
Yeah,
Is it,
nutmeg, I will say
is that a plural? Is that a
because
plural already? Is that like deer?
I don't
Nutmeg.
know.
Yeah, it's like deer, I think. I'm
Yeah.
going to go to my etymology dictionary and find out.
Yeah, but whole nutmeg is actually really hard and kind of expensive to find because nutmeg is a fickle little beast and
Mm.
basically is not cold tolerant at all, so only has like very certain places in the world that it can grow. So
Uh,
there's your non-related fun fact for the evening that
I feel
nutmeg
like Tolkien
is
would have loved
picky.
that. It's about a plant, so
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
listen, that's
Yeah.
on brand. That's not Tolkien. Tolkien loved trees. I mean, he made a tree a person. He made more than one tree a person.
Hmm.
More than one tree a people. Anyways, yeah, so I had to substitute for I had to look up. I had no listen, I'm gonna sound like a fool. I didn't know exactly what mead was. I knew bees were involved. I knew bees were involved, but I don't know why. I didn't know until today why they were involved.
Is
By the
drug
way, everyone,
honey.
I just started drinking. I'm ridiculous to begin with.
It happens.
Amen to
Oh
that,
God,
though.
that's so hot. It's so hot. Why did I take such a big drink? Anyways,
Oh
so
no.
I need to explain real quick. So I was running behind and I wanted to make this recipe, even though like it's not exactly like the recipe. Whatever, I figured it out. And so many things were wrong. I don't have a measuring cup. I thought I did. Apparently I don't. I've been guessing
Any
when I
measuring cups. There's just not a single measuring cup.
no, I've been guessing the whole time.
Oh,
Oh
all
no.
right. I'm
Yeah.
measuring with your heart.
I am measuring with my heart. So there's no measuring cups. I didn't have full nutmeg, so I had to like put some in and be like, all right, I can't put too much because like that's a lot of powder. I think I did okay. And then I had to put two like extra honey in. So I made my own recipe tonight.
Yeah, there you
Don't take a
go.
big sip. Don't take a big sip.
Calmly, calmly.
Little sip,
Only. So
baby
you say,
sips.
so Jen, you say that this is like a dangerous, like I will get wasted with this. Like with that recipe, if I drink the whole thing,
Oh, if you drink the whole thing, yeah.
oh,
So
well,
what's
party on.
the liquor in your mead?
Um,
It's brandy.
yeah,
It's brandy. Oh, you're
yeah,
getting wasted.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Also,
wait, but you
just
did
in case it is gone by halfway through this, I brought the brandy with me.
Very nice.
heat it up, so you kind of burnt off some of that liquor.
That's
Well, we
true.
mostly
That's what. Why
burned
do you think I
off like
brought the?
the water, so
Not
it's
stove.
higher. Yeah,
Oh
so there's
boy.
more
Oh
liquor.
boy.
Yeah.
This is
You're
gonna be.
you're
This is gonna be
you're getting wasted no matter what.
awesome. That's the whole point. Not the whole point. That's
Not the
that's
whole.
half the
It's
point of this
mostly the
podcast.
point.
That's mostly the point.
It's
Talking
95% of the point.
talking about Tolkien is just an excuse. I am an alcoholic and I have a problem.
Yes.
I don't mean to make light of anyone who actually has alcoholism. That is a very bad thing. And I'm sorry if I offended anybody. Anyways,
But
back to the
secondary,
show.
it's funny. It's still funny.
Back to the show.
Wait, so TJ, how did you get into Tolkien?
How did I get into Tolkien? I was about 11 or 12 years old, and my mom had this. For those of you not looking on YouTube, you won't be able to see this. My mom had these,
Nice.
this edition of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, um, and I don't really know why. I don't think I saw the movies, the like the Rankin Bass cartoon first. I'm pretty sure, unless maybe I got it for Christmas one year, and my mom was like, "Oh, I've got these books." I think that is how it happened. Look at that. The mead is bringing memories back. Um, uh,
Magical.
yeah.
Magical
And
mead.
so I went to my dad used to put a tent up in the backyard in the summer, and I would just go like camp by myself. It's the loneliest story you've ever heard. And so I just listened to Metallica's Low Man's Lyric, which it has a hurdy-gurdy in the beginning, and James Hetfield starts like humming. It's really pretty. The rest of the song doesn't make sense for the book, but forevermore that hurdy-gurdy sound and that melody will always remind me of Bilbo Baggins specifically.
Hmm.
That's how I got into it. And then I was 16 when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, and I waited a little bit to between The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings to read the Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry. I waited a few years. Yeah, between I forget how sentences work sometimes. And I don't know, I just wasn't a huge reader. I enjoyed The Hobbit. I enjoyed The Hobbit a lot. I think I read that a couple times. And then I just didn't read anything for a little bit. And then I heard that Lord of the Rings was getting made into films. And I really like adaptation. I like seeing like the differences and why it's different and stuff like that. So I was like, "Oh, I would like to read those. I have those." And so I read them and I loved it so much more than The Hobbit. The Hobbit is great. Don't get me wrong, but I mean I'm drinking Beorn's mead right now or substitute of. Sorry,
Yeah,
Beorn.
I will not hold for Hobbit slander.
I'm not saying The Hobbit is bad. I'm saying that I enjoy the Lord of the Rings more than The
Fair.
Hobbit,
Fair.
especially as an adult. I mean, it's geared towards kids.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it just resonated. Like some of Gandalf's lines specifically, which I've got. It was in my kitchen, and I brought it in here to show someone on one of. I don't know if I was live on TikTok or if I was doing this. I've got a painting that says, "All we have to decide is what to do with the time given us."
Mm.
Um, and that like just the in the shadow of the past, that whole passage is one of the most beautiful things I've read or had at that point. You know, I mean, it still is, and it's a great like fallback for when things are rough. And so I don't know. I kind of fell in love with it probably because Gandalf is kind of a different character too.
He really is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
still likes to disappear and leave the hobbits to fend for themselves.
I mean, you
Right?
can't. Would he really be Gandalf had he not done that?
Absolutely
No.
not. No.
I mean, like sometimes you got to go have a dance party.
Sometimes.
Right.
Yes.
You know
Sometimes
the
you gotta
meme.
go dance with bears.
You
Right.
know that exactly. You know the meme I'm talking about.
That's to Ghost. Um,
So I want to hear about. I want to hear a little bit more, at least, about this paper you wrote. I'm
Yes.
I'm interested in it.
It's fun.
Info dump.
Info dump. Okay. It was a couple of years ago, and I'm kind of sort of trying to get it published in pieces. Because
Okay.
I looked at I started with Tolkien and Lewis as kind of the catalyst that started this big publication wave of fantasy series being published um in series in serial format.
Mhm.
And I looked at I kind of based the theory on Tolkien's fairy stories, on the criteria of fairy stories. So in fairies in on fairy stories, there's recovery, consolation, and eucatastrophe. Um, so a modern fantasy, decided to work with a modern fantasy series, like post Tolkien, because I wanted to look at a couple of series from like each decade. And so the theory I came up with is that every modern fantasy series has repetition. So elements repeat themselves from story to story, from set to set. And then I have elaboration. So somehow the story moves away from the repetitive nature. So it's not just the exact same story over again. There's something new in it, and the story progresses. And then, of course, there's consolation and eucatastrophe. Um, eucatastrophe, for those listeners who may not know what eucatastrophe is, it's the happy ending. It is the the happy ending where everything just works out really well and it's brought together. And but one thing that a lot of people miss in the On Fairy Stories essay, there's this little footnote that I found. And Tolkien says, I can't recall the exact quote exactly, but he says that the good thing about a happy ending is that there's still more room to grow. There's still more room for the story to continue. And that kind of resonated with me because there's a bunch of fantasy series on my bookshelf that, there's a trilogy, and then the author decided, you know what, I'm going to keep going, and wrote another trilogy within that same universe. Ursula Le Guin, for example, she's a prime example. She was like, you know what, I'm going to write a book. So she wrote The Wizard of Earthsea. Everybody liked it so much, they asked for more. Out comes The Tombs of Atuan, and not the other one. There's more. So I wrote about I wrote about this series. I used David Eddings. I was really into the Elenium as a teenager. So his Sparhawk universe. There was I wrote about Robin Hobb's Dragon series. There's 12 books in this series. Thankfully, I had read all these books before I started writing my thesis. Otherwise, I would have been like absolutely. And note to people out there, pregnancy brain really messes with your thinking process. So if you ever decide to have a child and write a thesis at the same time, good luck. I also did the Harry Potter series. I did Le Guin. I did Harry Potter series. I did Robin Hobb's Elderling series, and
Can't do Game of Thrones. That'll never get
I
finished.
did not get to do Game of
Rip.
Thrones. I wanted to do a completed series, ones where the publisher said, "Nope, we're done."
Yeah.
So it was really fun to just look at the different ways that the artists and the authors elaborate on the story through the use of not just about how the stories progress through the plot, but also through tiny little details, including but not limited to fantasy maps. His
Okay.
fantasy maps are awesome. And with a lot of these publications, you would start with a teeny tiny map. And as the series progressed, like in C.S. Lewis, for example, you just start with a tiny plot of Narnia.
Hmm.
And then with every book, you get a little bit more added to Narnia as you
Yeah.
go on until finally you get the big illustrated version that Pauline Baines made for us in 50th anniversary edition that's in the most of the publications for that point forward. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I actually, you spoke about the Signum Collaboratory earlier. I
Yeah.
just published the section on Ursula Le Guin on the Collaboratory. So that's up now. And I'm
Ooh,
hoping to get that
let's go.
published by a Le Guin journal.
Let's go check that
Crossing
out.
fingers.
I will cross my fingers for you.
There you go.
Same.
I just have to so that paper, that thesis, I don't know how theses? I don't know
I
that
think,
word.
yeah, theses is the plural.
Feces.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
It
plural.
felt right. So I just was gonna
It
go with it
sounds
regardless.
like a bad word, but it's not.
It super does sound like a bad word. I didn't even put that together. Thank you for being here for that, Jen.
It is all good.
um, I don't know, like, do those get published?
Usually through the university. In the UK, they're often, and I know this because I had a chat with Luke Shelton for my podcast once.
Mhm.
His thesis is on public domain. Sorry, his PhD dissertation, not his master's thesis. His PhD dissertation is available to the public. So they're usually published through the university, and the paywall they're hidden behind is usually like the university's paywall or like their library, but they're not usually published to the wider world,
So
which is
what
why
you're
I'm.
telling me is that's published through Signum, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna hit
So
up
which
Mag.
means you gotta
I'm gonna ask Maggie. I'm gonna have to ask Maggie
yeah.
if I can have a quick aside and be like, hey, I need to ask you about a paper I'm really interested about.
Dude, I'll just send it to you.
Also, that. Thank you.
I'll just send it to you. It's okay. Plus, I have on my website. I have the YouTube link for when I presented the thesis to
Ooh, it's like an
to the wider.
audiobook.
Well, it's not an audiobook. It's a present. It's a defense. It's
I
a.
know.
Okay, fine. Sorry. Sorry. Joke. Did not get whoosh over the head.
No, it's okay. I take things hyper literally a lot too,
Yep,
so
sorry.
I understand. No, it's all good.
No,
It's
I'm the kind of person where, like, when I was growing up, like, if someone told me that Gullible was written on the ceiling, I would literally look up. So,
someone did tell me that, and I did look up.
yeah, yep.
I was the smartest child ever.
Twas me as well. But yeah, no, I could send you all the links to the YouTube video of my presentation, and
I would love that.
it would be awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going back through when we talked about setting this up, having you on here, and I forgot that you asked like what I think you asked what some topics are. Oh, you said you were open to topics, and I said whatever you want.
Oh,
And you sent me a list of the things that you like talking about. Can I share that?
yeah.
Awesome. I know Lindley, Bombadil, Ents. There you go,
Mm.
Jen. Beren and Luthien, Glorfindel, the Valar, elves and men and their natures generally and how they inform the others, the movies, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and Rings of Power. I like that you were so excited. You were like, these are all the things that I am 100% ready to talk about. That
Yeah.
was I
Evening.
I just was reminded of that when you messaged me earlier, and I was like, oh dang, you want to talk about all that stuff? Does everybody want to talk about all those things? Jen, I know
Oh
you want
yeah.
to talk about ends.
Duh.
Let's go ends. Let's talk about ends.
It's so funny because like I have like a group of friends where we can talk about like the like it's weird. Like I say surface level Tolkien, like I don't mean surface level, like kind of like fun Tolkien, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
funny, like the funny things that happen that Tolkien writes about, like the lighthearted things. Like Bombadil, I feel like's pretty lighthearted. But then
Yeah.
like there's also like you can talk about Bombadil where it gets kind of deep and like murky. And, like you can get like really philosophical about like a lot of the stuff that's fun about Tolkien. You can also talk about it in a deep enough way where it gets really philosophical and you're just like, whoa, my brain is like imploding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about it is
Yeah.
it's so easy to go back and forth between the
Yeah.
jokey stuff and then you get really serious. Like, but have you thought about it this way? It's one of my favorite things about this Tolkien community in general It's because I'm a very jokey person. I don't know if anybody's noticed that.
Really?
What?
You jokey? Never
Right.
would have guessed.
I know. I know. Listen, this is my this is my coming out. I'm very jokey. It's my joke coming out.
Mhm.
What a dumb joke that was. I'm so sorry for everybody here and everybody listening. That's my humor,
Edit,
everyone.
edit,
Sorry.
edit.
No, I'm leaving it in.
All right. I gave you an out. You chose not to take it. Just
No,
remember
it's
that.
funnier. It's funnier if people can go, "Wow, that was stupid," with me. I don't know where I was going. You
Who
know what?
knows?
This mead, Jen, is starting to work its magic.
Already.
I think I might have had a few too many sips already. This is the fastest this has happened. I think I might make this for everyone.
Cheers to
Um,
that.
I
Here's to
did
that.
warn you, to be
You
fair.
did. You did warn me,
As
and
he
I did
takes
not
another
heed.
sip.
100%.
Right. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Oh, by the way, you do know we have drinking games on here
Doy.
for those who are partaking. Um, I will not say the name,
Mm,
but if my favorite elf, and for those watching, his heraldry is behind me.
mhm, mhm,
If that elf gets mentioned, that's a drink.
mm.
I will not say these all the way because actually, what? I'll say them. But this
Does it
doesn't mean we
have
have
to
to.
do with a pinata?
No, it does
Not the
not.
pinata guy. Okay.
I'm not the pinata guy. So I'm gonna say this, and we don't have to drink unless you want to. If Finrod is mentioned, that's a drink. If we say fuck Elwe Sindiculo or Singolo or Elu Thingle, whatever, that's a drink. That's all I got right now. But we can figure out more. If you have ideas while we go, that's fine. Back to the Ents.
Hmm.
That felt like a weird little commercial.
Tolkien on Tap is brought to you in part by Aeromectin, your number one cure for the black breath of the Nazgul and common cold. No need to bother with the Houses of Healing or King's Foil that's pushed by Gondor and Big Rivendell. Use this simple medicine of Aeromectin and you'll be just fine.
Drinking
Who
tank.
cried when the Ant wife showed up? Who cried?
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Okay, I kind of knew Jen you would cry, but I was like, as soon as you said Ents in your intro, I was like, she cried.
I audibly gasped when she
Ah.
came on the previews.
Mhm.
Like
Oh, I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
even see. So I didn't watch the preview.
she was on there for all of 10 seconds.
It was
And
it's that shot where she's spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen
Mm.
Rings of Power season 2.
Oh,
It's the wait, what?
oh no, I'd seen it. Sorry, when you said,
Oh, okay. I'm
I
sorry.
like didn't even think about that. I just like blurted that out.
Oh, no. That's fine. No, well, this specific thing,
Yeah.
you can watch a preview and see the Winter Bloom is in it. And I
yeah.
was talking about like the scene that they used that they cut
Yeah.
in is her like smacking the shit out of what's her name? What was
Oh, bugger.
what was Isildur's Bay's name?
Oh
Well,
my God.
She's so
Soon to be
Oh.
Bay.
Ugh.
It's Astrid. Astrid. It was
Astrid.
Astrid.
She
There
was
we go.
that
I got
forgettable.
there. I have to think about dragons, which is really
I
confusing.
remember the actress's name. I just didn't remember her character's name. So
So yeah, let's talk more about Winterbloom. Also, I don't remember. Oh, Snaggleroot. Just remembered.
Snaggleroot.
I don't know.
Yes.
I
yeah.
don't know how I pulled that because I was blanking.
I really loved that she had like the little tiny little branch hands
Yeah.
when she like
Correct.
picks the little bloom and like gives it to Orandi. Like I was just like, oh, she has little second tiny hands. Like I don't know why I loved that so much, but I was just like, she has little tiny
Sweet.
hands. Like
Yeah, yeah. Do you? So I've had this conversation with some friends. Does everyone here? How does everyone view the Ents? Like, do you like them where they start out a little bit more like humanish and then but like they have some trees features, or do you like kind of like the show and the movie version where they're very much like the baseline of their design is a tree with some peoply features.
I don't know. I kind of like what Ralph Bakshi did and turned Treebeard into a Lorax.
see,
He
I think
totally
he looks
did.
like a walking carrot. So
Yeah.
He was a
Yeah.
walking carrot. No, I feel like they did well in the sense that like they can because their point is to kind of blend in with the rest of the forest. They're supposed to be mythical. They blend in with the rest of the forest and herd. I was I mean, I 100% understood her rage,
Yeah.
but I wonder I mean, honestly though, I wish we had gotten more
Um,
ends.
they kind of hint at it with spoiler alert.
I'm
What Kemen says in that, I think that's the last episode.
Oh
Mhm.
God,
Oh,
yeah, no, they're
I
gonna
mean,
come in.
that
They're
was
gonna
such a
go.
big, big hit. Like,
Yeah.
They are gonna come in full Isengard.
Yeah.
They're just they're gonna fuck shit up.
Also, how in the world did Estrid survive that hit from Winterbloom?
She shouldn't have.
Okay, yeah.
Is she made of mithril? Does she have a mithril jacket? And there's more to this Estrid than meets the eye?
Like gasp.
Which every time I hear that in the movie, I'm like, is Frodo an Autobot? You know.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, nerddoms are crossing real quick,
Yeah,
just for a second.
as they do, as they
there.
do,
As they
Right.
do, indeed.
as they do. I will say the first time that I try to teach book clubs for kids as often as I can to introduce. I have to spread the word of forget the word of God. I have to spread the word of Tolkien to all of my little munchkins.
Yeah.
The first time that I did Two Towers with my kids, and we talked about Ents. I had been telling them that, any questions that we have about, things that are happening in Lord of the Rings, you can probably find an answer to in Tolkien's letters or in the appendices. And so they're asking me all these like basic lore questions that anyone who's read the appendices 10 million times or has read the Silmarillion 10 million times can easily answer. But when I told them that even Tolkien himself did not know what happened to the Entwives, riot. My kids absolutely rioted. They're like, what do you mean we don't know what happened to the Entwives? We need to know what happened to the Entwives.
And I like that letter. Go ahead,
There are theories and they're not pleasant.
No.
Yeah. I was going to say
I literally was recounting. I was talking about the Entwives to my partner like a few weeks ago and started crying. I cannot talk about the Entwives to anyone, be it stranger or loved one, without crying, because I'm just like I'm like, you don't understand. They just disappear, and like no one, we don't know where they went.
Nobody knows.
And then I started crying.
They were pissed. They were
what's
so
everyone's
pissed.
It's better
what's
if
everyone's
you
theories?
Like, it's better if you knew if they died, like, but no, they just disappear.
The theory that I hate the most, but kind of makes the most sense, is that they were captured by Sauron and effectively like forced into slavery to like help grow crops for the armies of orcs that were living in Mordor. And effectively, like, because after, I mean, if we're going with the Rings of Power version, like, after the eruption of Mordruin and the creation of Mordor, like, nothing was going to grow by normal means in that place.
No.
Right.
And so it's like one of those things that I'm just like, I hate that, but it does kind of make sense. Like, you would need to grow food to feed, I mean, not just the orcs, but like the men he enslaved.
Yeah.
Like
the fell beasts,
the
trolls,
the creatures that grow. I mean, like, because you'd probably have to
they
feed
have horses
with,
too.
like, horses and
like he's straight up. I love that Sauron sends emissaries to Rohan and is like, hey, we want horses, but only the black ones.
Only the black ones.
Yeah.
And if
he's
you don't
got
give
an
it to us,
aesthetic.
if you don't give them to us, we're gonna take them by force.
Yeah. He's got an aesthetic and he will stick to it.
Oh yeah.
We have to do matchy.
Exactly. Do you think that, like, I don't know why this image just popped into my head. Do you think, like, when Rohan's like, no, we're not giving you anything, they go looking for black horses and like there's two orcs that are just like, I can't find any. Should we just take a white one and like paint it?
Painting the roses red. We're painting the roses red.
I was thinking like 101 Dalmatians, since they're gonna go to like the land of like ash and soot and everything. They're just like, hold on, we're just gonna pat the horse down real quick.
Yeah, we're just gonna make it roll around in the ash.
That's exactly it.
And the mud, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll just take a Palomino. It'll be fine. It's fine.
I think I saw a fan theory somewhere, maybe a fan wish, that like the Entwives were like Yavanna took them back to like or something.
That's a cute fan theory. I like that.
Kind of cute. But like how and why?
In Lord of the Rings Online,
I need to know why.
It is greatly insinuated that the Entwives are in the Old Forest and have turned into flowers.
Yes.
As you're running around in the Old Forest, you find these enormous, beautiful flowers that like have names.
And they are the
And-
names of the Entwives.
And
Interesting.
Yeah.
so
I've
I
not
Side
like
played
that.
quest.
Like I definitely like that theory because it kind of like, you know, especially like with the context of like when Treebeard asks Merry and Pippin, like, oh, have you seen any Entwives in the Shire? And like they have, I just don't know they
Yeah.
Yeah.
have.
I love though, like when Treebeard's like, no, they didn't die. We just lost them. And I'm like, how do you lose your wife?
That
Yeah,
is
right?
heartbreaking because like he just cannot accept reality and he just is just holding on to this Treebeard is the essence of Estelle.
Oh,
I'm just coming to that right now. Treebeard is the essence of Estelle.
well, gosh dang it. You turned my joke into something really nice. I was about to make a how do you lose your wife, like you dumb man situation, but you're much nicer
no.
than I am. Thanks
No,
a
no,
lot, TJ.
no, please do. Please
Just
do.
move the bush over.
Just,
You're not just look with your eyes.
just look with your eyes. I say
Right.
that to my child all the time. Like then again, they're 3, so
But
look
it
with
is
your
it is, I mean, to kind of, rib on the man joke a little bit. It's kind of like the whole concept of just like the mustard in the fridge.
yeah.
And like they look and they look and they look and they look and then they ask the wife and the wife's like,
It's right there.
dumbass. It's right
It's
here.
right there.
There's not mustard in any fridge. I don't know what you're talking about.
Shush. No, my dad calls it the you push the button wrong situation, where every single time my mom is trying to figure out the remote and she can't get the TV to turn on, or she can't get the whatever machine to turn on, and then my dad just walks over, immediately turns the TV on, and and my mom's just like, God damn, how'd you do that? And he's like, you pushed the button wrong. It's a you push the button wrong situation.
You didn't ask the fridge nicely where the
You
mustard
didn't
was.
ask the fridge
You didn't
nicely.
ask Middle Earth nicely where the Entwives were.
You
So now-
didn't ask the Entwife to stay and just like not stand around looking pretty, like, because that's basically what they didn't want. They're like, we want to go grow things. We're gonna go grow things and be happy, and you can stay there and brew harum all you want, Treebeard. Okay.
This is making me think like did Sam and Rosie have like mom and dad isms? Like there's clearly no thermostats in the Shire, but do you think like it was like a nice fall day and Sam wanted the window open and one of his kids shuts it and immediately he's out of his chair while he's writing in the red book and goes, "Nope, nope, I heard that. I know I could feel the difference."
He is the son of Hamfast Gamgee. Of course he had dadisms.
Fair. Fair. I guess I shouldn't have used Sam.
I mean, come on. Like, Moo is it like he was quoting Hamfast all the time.
That's true.
Like, as
That's
my
very
dad
true.
always says. Like, that's a Samism right there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then he becomes his father.
Yes.
Potatoes.
Mhm.
So I'm liking the Ent talk we were having, because Jen, you said that Treebeard was your gateway drug, which is I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna
And
try to
I
incorporate that.
told John Rhys Davies that, and he laughed and laughed. And
You met John Rhys Davies?
twice.
I met him too.
All right,
Yeah,
I gotta step my
he's
game up. Hold on, I gotta add that to the list.
the
Add that to the
most
list.
wonderful, delightful, just perfect human.
Gentleman.
Just amazing.
And a
Wonderful.
soothsayer, he knew exactly what those films were, and
Mhm.
he predicted every single thing.
Have you?
Yeah.
Has everyone met some Lord of the Rings actor?
I'm not. I don't do. I have no idea how to do that without like going to a con. I haven't. Well, I haven't been to a con.
Yeah, I've only met them at cons.
I've
so.
been to I've been to C2E2, but like I didn't even look to see who was.
I went to
was
Dragon
years
Con
ago.
for the first time last year, and I didn't meet anyone. But I do have a letter from Ted Nasmith.
Nice.
Am I the
Nice.
only one that? All right, I'm gonna add that to the
Add
list.
that to the list.
I'm going to
No,
Dragon
when I
Con
was-
for the first time
when
this
I-
year.
when
Me
I-
too.
Are you?
Yes. Oh my
Yes.
God. Yes. I'm so
Awesome.
excited.
I missed
I'm
that
doing my
one.
Luthien cosplay, and I'm very excited.
I am gonna get well, get ready to drink. I'm doing a Finrod cosplay.
Do it.
Hey,
Yep.
Hey, you don't have
So
water
my only-
designated driver?
No.
Oh,
my
fair.
only
Totally
claim,
dry.
my only claim to fame is when I was a kid reading Lord of the Rings for the first time. I got so obsessed with the artwork that I wrote John Howe, Ted Nasmith. Why am I blanking on the
Alan
third?
Lee.
Alan Lee, duh. Hello.
Yeah.
I wrote them letters, little fan letters.
Nice.
And Ted Nasmith wrote me back.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
Wrote
that's
me, like, the
amazing.
sweetest handwritten letter.
Oh,
It's like sitting on my desk right now.
that's
You don't
amazing.
have that framed?
It's sitting on my desk because I'm like looking at it and I'm like, I need to get this framed. Um,
Yeah, you gotta frame that shit. Like,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah,
it's like
I
100%.
have a yeah.
it's like on lined paper. It's so sweet.
So you were talking about John Rhys Davies, Jen,
yeah.
and then I got distracted because you had a brush with greatness and I didn't. Please
Yep.
continue. Oh,
No,
he
I
laughed
was.
at the
He
gateway
just
the
laughed
gateway
when
drug
I
thing.
told him that Treebeard was my gateway drug.
He
So,
did such a phenomenal job with the voice
amazing.
and
He
like the
Yeah.
did.
pacing of it, and honestly, I love it. I mean, I do like once I see a film of something, whether it's actually in the book or not, like I will see and hear those things.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
just how my brain, like I don't make up pictures in my mind until
Yeah, I
it's
don't have a
weird.
visual imagination like at all.
Yeah.
Like unless it's something that I'm creating in my own brain. Like if
Yes.
I'm like reading a book or something, like I like cannot picture what it looks
Same.
like in my mind. So I
Same.
love movies for that very like movies, video games, whatever, like or like
Yeah.
other people's art because like I just like don't I just can't wrap my head around like I don't
Yeah.
know what it is, but just I just don't have a very good like visual imagination. So I'm totally with you.
Yeah, yeah. It's the only time that my mind will create images is like most of the time it's like music, like a song. And I'm like, oh, I can visualize what's happening here because there's not like I don't know the actual story, so and I have to suss out because it's poetry. Anyways, Treebeard, um, I a lot. I'm so sorry, everyone. I sound like I have no idea what I'm doing, and I don't. Um,
Eh.
I just did it again. That
Do
should
any of
that
us?
should be a drinking game. The Good
Oof.
luck.
Well,
We're
then
getting
Oh yeah.
you'd be sauce no matter what.
Yeah,
right,
we'd
right,
be
right.
toast.
Uh, dang it.
It's
What I
all
was
good.
going to say was one of my favorite things about since we've been talking about Treebeard, besides the voice, as far as design, I love what they did with his eyes because
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
book draws so much attention to the deep pools in his eyes, and I just I feel like the film got his eyes 100% correct. Also, I like that when he walks, he looks like he's wearing bell bottoms.
Oh yeah.
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 I think like to kind of go into a little like the appendices of the films, like I watch the appendices more than I watch the films themselves. Like I probably have like a little bit of a parasocial relationship with some of those people because I'm just like I've known these people since I was like 11 and so like to me it's like yeah, we're homies. Like me and Gina, we're homies. Like
Totally.
but I love how they like specifically address how because in the books they describe Treebeard's eyes as being like deep pools of green and how
Yes.
they tried that and the green just didn't give like the depth that they wanted. And so I love that they like tried like effectively like the amber like sap kind of thing with
Mm.
like more of like the brown tones and that really worked. And that I mean that's one of those things that like really speaks to like the time and care that they put into making those movies and like they didn't just like and where like I kind of give them some grace because like something that like works really well on paper and probably like sounded really great in Tolkien's brain like obviously didn't translate very well to a visual medium like
Right.
with the deep pools of green like you just lose a lot of that depth with the dark green color
Well,
and
especially
so I
being in
love
a
they just like
forest that is green,
is
and
green
they
yeah
gave
exactly
Treebeard's those mossy tones, just
hmm
like I mean, he's described, at least his beard is mossy. Um,
Did everybody wear Tolkien sweaters?
yes
I
I was
think we
actually
Oh my
gonna
did.
wear
gosh.
the same
Let's
sweater that
see.
Elise
Let's
is
see.
wearing.
I'm wearing my ring
So
purse.
it's the Lorien leaf sting and the ring and
It's got Hobbit
the
doors on it.
hobbit doors along
I
the bottom.
wish my only complaint about that cardigan is I wish it had pockets.
Yes.
Oh.
They
Must
could have made cute little Hobbit door pockets, like little
they could
round.
have they could have, but they didn't.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm also wearing underneath my sweatshirt, I'm wearing Don Marshall's You Are All Welcome Here shirt underneath.
I
So
think I have that.
yeah. I have two actually because this one that I bought is a t-shirt and it's like really like it's faded really badly because I wear it a lot. So I bought a tank top and the tank top like the screen printing is way more like So whatever you did, Dawn, you'll never hear this because this isn't part of the podcast, but whatever you did
I
on the
can leave this
second,
part in because we're talking about things we're wearing.
whatever you
It's
did,
up to
Dawn, on
you.
the second one has been much better than the first one that I bought. So A plus.
I mean, I don't know if Don listens. I know we're mutuals in some spots, but I don't know if he listens yet. We'll
Yeah.
see.
If he ever
So,
does, he'll receive praise for whatever screen printer he switched to.
so what's everyone's favorite I don't want to say character because everyone does favorite character. What's everyone's favorite quote? I've already given mine. That's why I chose that one. What's everyone's favorite quote from any of the books, not just Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Sorry. You want me to get the Jeopardy music?
Hey,
I
I
mean, I
don't
know, like immediately, like
go for it.
if more of us valued food and cheer above hoarded gold, the world would be a merrier place.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
so apt for this day and age too. Like it
Yeah,
just like hasn't that sentiment just hasn't gone away
no,
whatsoever. That's a good
no.
one.
Mine is towards the it's just before the Scouring of the Shire, and they're about to part with Gandalf. And I love this one because a little backstory, part of what I do now, since Signum, I host a blog and podcast called Teaching with Magic.
Mm.
And I look at mentor characters in fantasy and started with Gandalf because, well, let's be honest, it's Gandalf. And I think this moment just really exemplifies who he is as the mentor and teacher figure in the Lord of the Rings. So he's about to check out and go hang out with Tom Bombadil, and the hobbits are like, well, you're going to come with us, right? We're going back to the Shire. If there's a problem, we need you. And Mary's like, well, yeah, you're coming with us. Things will soon be cleared up. And Gandalf says, I'm with you at present, but soon I shall not be. I'm not coming to the Shire. You must settle its affairs yourselves. That is what you have been trained for. Do you not yet understand? My time is over. It is no longer my task to set things to rights, nor to help folk to do so. And as for you, my dear friends, you will need no help. You are grown up now, grown indeed very high. Among the great you are, and I have no longer any fear at all for any of you. So that one is like, that's my goal in life,
So
to be,
empowering.
yes, to be that kind of teacher where I have given you, sweet child, the tools to be yourself and just be the greatest that you can be. Like, I don't want to be great myself. I don't need to be great myself. I need you to be the best that you can be.
That's a great one. Yeah.
And then I rib my students in the same way that, he ribs Pippin. So, we're kind of, yeah, we're a little samesies there.
A little does Gandalf know, Pippin is arrow in disguise.
Little does he. I don't call my students fools though. I don't insult them, or I just get a little sarcastic with them sometimes.
Yeah. Gandalf gets super sassy quite a bit. I love it.
Yes.
Spicy. Spicy name.
Mhm. Very spicy.
This is such a hard question. I hate this question. But what's your favorite song or something? But no, respect.
Do you have anything that like you plays over in your head that you hear a lot, like or things that something you think when something good happens, something not great happens, when there's hard times, when there's happy times?
I think about the Silmarillion a lot
Mm-hmm.
because
Fair.
I like Lord of the Rings was the first book. I mean, I call Lord of the Rings book because like I read like I think they're in my mind it's one book.
Mhm.
Tolkien's mine too.
Yeah, like I can't read Fellowship without reading Two Towers and Return of the King. Like you just don't do that. You don't start in the
Yeah.
middle, go backwards or forwards. Like you read the whole thing. But like when I read the Silmarillion, I was like, this is the book. This is the Tolkien book for me. But Aino Lindale specifically is like my
Mhm.
jam.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
creation story, it's so beautiful.
It's the best creation story ever.
Best creation
Agree.
story. And especially if you love music, which I do,
Mhm.
like how amazing is it? I love so many of its passages, but the one that I really love is like when he talks about there being music and it's not the void anymore. where he's
Mhm.
like, then the voices of the Ainur like unto harps and lutes and pipes and trumpets and viols and organs, and like unto countless choirs singing with words began to fashion the theme of Iluvatar to a great music, and a sound arose of endless interchanging melodies, woven in harmony that passed beyond hearing into the depths and into the heights, and the places of the dwelling of Iluvatar were filled to overflowing, and the music and the echo of the music went out into the void, and it was not void. Like, I just think like it went out into the void and it was not void. Like it's like just
Mhm.
the way I love the way that Tolkien says these things. It's just like it was and then it wasn't, and you're just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's no embellishment. He doesn't need like this, like, I don't know. It's just like perfect. I think he's such a great writer. He's my favorite.
Yeah. No,
Same.
that is amazing. And also I really like that you said that you read the Silmarillion and you like instantly were like, this is my jam. I love it. Because a lot of times the discourse around the Silmarillion is like, oh, it's such a hard book. Oh, I just couldn't get into it. And
Oh
like that can be true for some people. Like for me, it was difficult to read
my
because I was
gosh.
expecting like a very similar narrative to Lord of the Rings, but that's a me problem, not
Yeah.
of the book problem. Because that book, like now I've read it numerous times. Like that book is, I agree with you, Gia, is amazing. I love that book so much.
Oh, and don't get me wrong. When I first read it, it was hard, and when I read it now, it's hard because it's not like I mean, for me, I'm not to
Yeah.
speak for anyone else. Like, I don't think he meant it to be like an easy read for. It's not like The Hobbit. It's not like The Silmarillion, right? Like, it's not a
It's
bedtime.
not a nice, contained, linear narrative.
No.
Right. It's a history, and he meant it to be that way. And
It does start to be a narrative a little bit once
yeah,
the elves of Quivian and like awaken and everything like that. But then
Mhm.
you get of Beleriand and its realms, which is not part of the
It
narrative.
is
It's just
not.
like this
yeah,
is where things are.
it gets into the weeds, you have to
Yeah.
like you're just like I need to write these names down and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. But then but I think like the the complexity of the stories and just like you start to get this kind of idea of just like the way his mind was just like the universe fills out a little bit and you're just like wait a
Yeah.
minute, like whoa.
Yeah.
It's so cool how like everything is interconnected too.
Yes.
Like I've talked to friends about would which story would you turn into a film? And I have one friend in particular who changed my mind on it. If you're gonna do one, you should do it all because it all matters. The whole story, like the Vala, I'm sorry, the Quintus Silmarillion is one continuous story, and
Mhm.
it's so hard to break anything up. Um, and like, don't get me wrong, like Baron and Luthien is probably the coolest because like genre-wise, it goes through every single genre that ever existed. Yeah,
Checks all
it,
the boxes.
yes, it checks so many boxes. But also, you kind of got to get the setup of Melkor, the trees, the Silmarils, all the you got to get some Sauron in there, all this stuff. It would be too much.
Right.
Like
And if
it
you have
needs
to
to.
if you talk about the Silmarils, you got to get into Fëanor. Yeah, like
Right,
there's
Yeah.
right, and then the oaths and kinslaying and
Yeah, and to
Jesus,
understand the kinslaying, you have to get into Quivian and like the
yes,
migration and how that all happened, and then you have to get into like Quivian and like
let's do
all
it
like,
all.
and then you have to talk about the dwarves and
Mhm.
the
yeah,
dwarves versus children of Iluvatar and like,
I mean,
yeah,
even with just reading Lord of the Rings, he puts so many of those little notes
oh
in
my
the
God,
story
yeah,
that allude to what happened in the Silmarillion. I mean, half the
hmm,
questions that I answer with my students, I'm like, okay, I got to go into the Silmarillion for this. Like, once
yep,
they ask me, like, what the heck is going? How come Legolas and Gimli hate each other? What's going on here? And so I
hmm,
had to
let
talk
me
about the
tell you about Doriath
let me
and the
tell you about
Nauglamir.
Doriath and the Nauglamir
Yeah,
and Elu Thingol. And
yeah.
luckily, the day that I
Fuck
taught
fuck
Elu
Elu
Thingol, by the way.
Thingol.
Elu
That's
Thingol,
that's three, by the way. We just did.
holy cow, and drank, thank you.
I just did a
Luckily, when
huge
I
drink of
was
that.
teaching that particular class, I had Corey Olson in the car with me. So I'm like,
Oh,
Corey, can
nice.
you fact check me for a second? And he's like, well, and then I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm just, it's just there's so many layers, and knowing Tolkien and like how badly he wanted to publish the Silmarillion, he did that on purpose. He put those little textual runes
absolutely.
in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just got done reading the I finished all the letters finally, and the amount of times before Lord of the Rings is published that he's talking about like, can the Silmar or will you allow the Silmarillion also to be? He's pushing the entire time. The same with the appendices. I love that the appendices were something in his mind from the beginning.
Yes.
Mhm.
That like that dude just like he had so many ideas, and he knew that they
Yes.
wouldn't. It was too long for a
Could
book that
not
was
be
already very
contained.
long.
Yeah.
Like
And speaking of like the letters and like the Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, like I want to go back in time and
Mm.
shank whoever the hell told Tolkien that nobody would be interested in the Silmarillion. Like
yeah. Oh, that was
stabby,
that I don't.
stab.
So, are you talking about the letter that Ellen and Unwin or yeah
It's in the
from
foreword of Lord of the Rings. Like he talks about like he's like, "Oh yeah, people like I don't remember exactly what he says."
yeah.
But he's essentially like, "Yeah, people told me that like no one would be interested in the Silmarillion." I'm like, "You sure about that?
So
You
I
sure
thought you were
about
talking.
that?"
There's a letter where Ellen and Unwin send him something asking about well, whatever. But the thing that stuck out to me was enclosed was a letter from Rainer Unwin to his father that was not meant for Tolkien's eyes, and Rainer Unwin did not. He told his dad like I wouldn't publish that. I don't think people are gonna read it.
Shank,
So there's one
stab.
name. There's one name for you. That's a stab.
That's a stab.
That's a stabbing.
Stabby stabby.
That sounds very that's very like the dwarves of trying to get their Nauglamir back.
Yeah,
Just to circle
100%.
back. Just to
It's to
circle
Yeah.
circle
back.
back, exactly.
Right, right,
And
right.
it was just, it's so funny. And what grew out of that was really great. Do you guys know who James Tauber, Digital Tolkien? Do you know
I,
who that is?
I
Digital
don't think
Tolkien
so.
sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Digital
same.
Tolkien. So he's the James Tauber's the guy behind Digital Tolkien. He's
Okay.
literally building this search engine,
Oh,
so
yes,
that you
yes,
can
yes, yes.
find passages and anything you need to cite the Lord of the Rings, and anything written by Tolkien. And
Right.
so we taught a class for a little bit because I was sharing, my insights from the kids that I was teaching, and that's when we realized, oh, if someone wants to get an introduction to the Silmarillion and has never, is trying to read the Silmarillion or just can't get into it or is really struggling with the Silmarillion, let's use the Lord of the Rings as the bridge between. So we taught a space class for a month, literally called the Bridge to the Silmarillion. And so we went through the Lord of the Rings together, and we picked out all those moments where, like you got Aragorn singing about the tale of Beren and Luthien and the song of Gil-galad, and Sam's like, hey, by the way, I know who Gil-galad is. He's this guy that Bilbo told me about once. Like, and just these little moments that can be used to bridge back to those, and even to circle back to Treebeard, the song that he sings to Merry and Pippin, where he's talking about all the ancient names of Beleriand. It's literally of Beleriand and his realms in song in
Mhm.
poetry form.
Yeah.
So like if you want a map, and he James even pulled up a map of Beleriand and tracked everything that Treebeard was talking about in this poem, in this song. So like using one to inform the other was tons of fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you all for coming out and coming out. Nobody went anywhere. Thank you all for getting on your computers and hanging out and having some fun and having some very nerdy conversations tonight. I really appreciate all of you. Gia, where can people find you if they want to continue the conversation or have any questions for you?
On Threads, I guess. Gia Monster.
Can you spell that for everyone?
GUIA Monster.
Gotcha. Jen, where can people find you?
You can find me on Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Twitch at Elvish_Groves. I guess technically Blue Sky is Elvish-Groves, but it's the same difference. And if you follow me on any of those platforms, you can also join my super fun book club Tolkien community Discord. That's very fun, and I am always happy to have more people there. So come
Yes,
and find
plug
me.
plug all the things. Absolutely. No, seriously, the more Tolkien engagement, the better, because like this community, like I've said before, is absolutely incredible, and
Agreed.
we should absolutely continue to grow this community and engage with as many people as we can. Elise, where can people find you?
So I'm on Threads and Instagram as well as Blue Sky. I have my own website, teachingwithmagic.blog. I also have recently joined Substack because my website went kablooey for a bit. So I'm reposting a few things on Substack, and I also have a podcast, Teaching with Magic, that can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's about teaching and learning through fantasy literature, and I get to talk to all kinds of fun people on that show too. So always a fun time going out in the blogosphere and talking about our favorite things, all things fantasy.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming and hanging out tonight. I really appreciate all of you.
And we appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Tolkien on Tap. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on any of my social medias. I'm on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at @the_Meade. Namarie.